Welcome back, Randy Brown. This is part 2 of my 5-part series for men. Men who are hiding, men who are holding things back, being stopped by obstacles in their personal and professional lives, who are way too stressed, and may be involved in some addictions. Maybe we're speaking about you a little bit, a lot, or a friend that you know. It's my work to use my experiences in my past to carve out a coaching and a speaking business that is going to talk directly to you and all men out there about all of these things. And although it's not fashionable to uncover and speak about very outwardly these things that we haven't told anybody that we're holding on to, it's time to. So our topic today is you better get real and you better get it together. You know, are you living the kind of life that a man at your age should be living? Now, you can be single or you can be married. You guys that are married, you are in charge of your family. You are in charge of that home. And that's a big undertaking. Huge. And there's a lot of leadership that's involved and a lot of responsibility. As you evaluate yourself in that regard, how are you doing? How do you rate? Now again, you're answering in your head as you hear me speak and ask these questions. I'm going to talk to you in a couple minutes about what the next step is, if you're uncomfortable with those answers. But are you stepping up to the plate? Are you being a man? There's no time for complaining. There's no time for shorting your responsibilities. If you don't have an accountability person in your life to ask you difficult questions, you need to get one. Or pick up that phone and call me. Because this is what I do. And I'm going to share my story with you at the end of this message. So stand up and be a man, and let's get it together. Now, what does he mean by get it together? Let me give you a kind of an athletic analogy, since that's my background in college basketball. Having coached hundreds of college players, recruited hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of high school players, and even had the unbelievable experience of coaching 12 guys that made it to the NBA. When players come into a program, they exhibit a certain potential. And you can, as you're a recruiter, and if you've been around this game, you can look at a young guy and watch him play and get to know his attitude and his character, and you can put a ceiling on his potential. Then what you have to do is figure out where they're at according to that ceiling. How close are they? Are they real close or are they real far away? And everybody's different. So let's use that analogy for you. Do you have it together as a man in this world today? Yes or no? Well, what does that mean? What it means is, of your potential, of your ceiling, how close are you to that ceiling? A long way or just a little bit? That's a big question. We get to live this thing one time and one time only, and then it's over. Forget regrets. We all have them about different things in our life. Forget them. Those things that are in the past are going to be in the past, and we're going to leave this earth. We get one chance to do this. Now, we're talking, guys, about all realms of the entirety of our life in this universe. We're talking about the smallest things to the largest things, to family, to you guys, again, that are single. We're talking about your personal habits, your success habits. We're talking about things you're hiding from yourself and from your wife and from your friends and from your parents and from your children. Even the closest people in your life, hiding tons of baggage from, and it's very destructive. So if you're doing that, if you're in that boat, and I know the stats pretty well, a good percentage of those I'm talking to right now should be able to say, yes, that's me. It's just the way it is. What are you doing about it? See, the time is now. The time is now to put your cards on the table. What does that mean? That means that you are walking and exhibiting and demonstrating the life that you claim to be the person who has authority over your life. You are that person. So think about how you portray yourself in your mind to yourself and how you portray yourself to others. Is that really the real person? Is that really the real guy? Or is it a safety mechanism so that you can think that people feel a lot better about you and the quality of person that you are than you really are? So you don't have the cards on the table. If your cards are on the table, you're saying, this is me, and this is how I live. There's no separation between the cards on the table and the way that I truly live my life. That's a man in integrity, who's in alignment, whose walk is straight, because that's who he is. And I'll tell you, I will challenge you till the end of the world. Okay? I'm not one who is an educator in terms of, I'm going to give you a bunch of information, you go off and do with it what you want. I'm not like that. Yeah, I'm into information, I'm into stats and those types of things. And I'm only going to tell you the truth. You have to take this information and decide what you're going to do with it. Change only happens when there's change. That's not meant to trick anybody. That's just a true statement. If you want the world to be different, you have to help change the world. If you want your household to be different, you have to be making changes to change your household. If you want your children to be different and act different and grow up in a different way than they are, you're part of that change. If you, in terms of your characteristics and habits, are not where you need to be, you have to change. And then change will occur. Are your cards on the table? Boy, what a great question. You're going to hear me talk a lot about the house of cards. And actually getting your cards on the table has a whole lot to do with the house of cards that you're building every single day. As a person, as a professional, as a husband, as a boyfriend. In whatever role you are in this world. See, if you're not aligned, you're an absolute phony. You might say, all right, you called me a phony. I am a phony. Big deal. Nobody really knows. Well, let me tell you something. I was a phony. I was the biggest phony there was. Now, professionally, I was at the top of my game. My best years in coaching were in the middle of years and years of an addiction to alcohol and pornography. Most of the alcohol done by myself, and all the pornography by myself. And it came from the fact that my life got to the point where I didn't think I could deal with it, and I was ready to check out. We unfortunately had 2 4-year-old daughters that passed, 6 years apart, and almost lost a third in the middle of that. I was ready to check out, I'm telling you. I'm no tougher than the next guy. It was all I could take. I don't want to be around. Fortunately, I went to some people that I highly covet in my life and got some great counsel from them and decided to get back on track. But it wasn't without me feeling sorry for myself, having to comfort myself, and having to have this place where I could go hide and feel better. If only for 10 minutes, just feel better for a little bit. Reality was not my friend. And just like a car that's leaking oil, that's just a precursor to something that's really going to go wrong with that engine or transmission. And your car is going to fall apart. And my car fell apart to the tune of a 2-year federal prison sentence for things I had been involved in on the internet. And I know that there were times I justified all of my actions and thought, hey, nobody knows but me. There's no harm, no foul. I'm not creating any victims. I'm just trying to keep myself soothed and so I can feel better. What a bunch of BS that is. And if you're telling yourself that lie, it's a bunch of BS. Justify it however you want. We are great at self-deception. Great. We have another side of us that listens to the guy, the great deceiver, the devil. And we buy into it. And I did. And it cost me dearly. See, one of the things as I work with men is I realize that they can all tell me their woes and what's wrong with life and things that aren't going their way, and professionally, things that they wish were different. And I'll listen to that, but this is life. Life was not meant to be a rose garden, for crying out loud. Nobody said this was going to be an easy thing. So it's the norm when you're facing problems and obstacles. It's just the norm. It's the way it is. Can you deal with it? Can you respond correctly? And can you not fall apart? And can you be the man that God created you to be, to lead a family or lead yourself in life and have relationships and have a meaningful profession or a job where you're giving back to this world? And if you have skills and abilities that you're giving back to other people to help their lives, enrich their lives. Mine came at a great cost, and I never would have thought it would have, but it did. When the house of cards came down, it came down hard. Some relationships, it cost me. My marriage, it cost me. Being sent to prison, that cost me. And all the fallout from that. My identity, no more. My career, no more. Cost me. And the millions and millions of dollars that I just threw away, that I could have had by coaching the great game of basketball that I loved so much, more than anything other than my family and my faith. Man, I love the game. Threw it all away. Sometimes you need to hear others scare you. Sometimes you need to hear others tell a story that you're saying, man, I don't know, that is quite a story. Or, man, I'm glad I'm not that guy. But I'm here to tell you, you could be a click away, a drink away, a bet away, an affair away from losing everything. That's why I'm here, and that's why I do the work that I do. I've done the time for you. I've cried those tears for you. I've gone through a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. And as you listen to me, I want you to understand that I'm setting the table for you. And it's never too late to become the man that you know you should become. So today was about, hey, let's grow up and be a man, and let's get our crap together. I'm Randy Brown, and I have a 3-month intensive coaching program. And if this resonates with you, I've created a confidential and safe community. I coach men one-on-one. They share things openly and honestly like you can't believe. And we also have group work that we do, and we strengthen each other in a group of men. But I implore you to contact me, and let's have just a complimentary phone call. Let's talk for 15 and 20 minutes and just see what's on your heart. See where you're at. I want to hear from you. This is part 2. Get ready for part 3. It's just going to be a humdinger. We'll see you then.